All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. And look at this, welcome back to my studio. Now, who would have thought that I would come up with a really clever clickbaity title for a brilliant video that I made that I just happened to have filmed in a bathroom because I was at an Airbnb hanging out with Sammy the Bull Gravano for, New Year's Eve. And it would end up being a really high performing video, with this early channel. And then all these new people would come on and go, bro, you're shooting in a bathroom. And it's the one time that I forgot at the front of the video to mention, hey, I'm obviously in a bathroom, not my home studio. And here's why. Well, guess what? Now I get to respond to everybody in the comments, okay? That's not my normal setup, obviously, okay? But hopefully if you actually watch the video, you'd see I'm putting some pretty fire content together. I think I made some great points on that video. And I'm about to make some good points on this one as well, okay? So if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Thank you everybody who forwarded that video around. It's doing very well. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about something else, and hopefully I can come up with a clickbaity title for this one also, because we're going to talk about the one area where Khabib gets no respect, okay? He gets no respect, where he deserves immense respect. And I actually touched on it in the other video, but I realized afterwards, I was like, I should be talking a lot more about that. That is a legit topic. If you could figure out a way to talk about Khabib, if there's like a good topic about Khabib, you do the video. People love hearing about Khabib. I'm also going to talk about Hamzat and his recent comments about the Conor McGregor and Jake Paul beef, because he's on Conor's side. Look at that. And it actually speaks to the topic that I'm going to talk about, Khabib. So here's what it is, okay? So I think that Khabib is secretly one of the strongest strategic fight game guys that's in the game, period, okay? Now, for those of you who have just come to my channel recently, when I say a guy has strong fight game, what I'm talking about is what he does outside the octagon, okay? So I'm talking about the gamesmanship, right? Like where they can talk their way into a fight. They're great at hyping up fights. They're great at getting paid as much as possible for fights. So it's about building interest. It's about building intrigue. And it's about all of those things that like Conor is the best, or Conor was the best at before he didn't need to do it anymore. Now Conor's elevated to a level now, and so is Khabib, where they just, all they have to do is just announce that they're fighting and everyone's going to watch. But there's almost no one who's at that level, right? You got Nate Diaz, Conor, Khabib, Masvidal now probably, but that's basically it. Everybody else, you got to build some interest. And I haven't heard people ever give Khabib the props that he deserves on that front, because he is brilliant at it. And it's another reason why I'm almost certain now that the rematch between him and Conor is coming, assuming that Conor wins, okay? So let me get into that. So basically, when I was doing that video yesterday, or whatever, a couple days ago when I was in Arizona, and I apologize for the hiatus, I was traveling, etc. But I was just talking through how the Conor and Khabib fight came together, and we're talking about psychological games, and I was talking about all the things that Khabib did to talk himself into that fight. And here's the thing, man. Think about all these other guys. Like, think about all these other fighters. Like, at that moment of Khabib's career, right? There were other guys in the conversation. Tony Ferguson, whoever. Like it wasn't just Khabib and Conor, right? Like, Khabib made it Khabib and Conor before Conor started hyping the fight.
Something. I want to stay humble, but I have to talk because your guys talk too much. And you know what interesting? I understand how crazy power UFC PR machine. Your guy, beginning of the year, he tapped like chicken. End of the year, he fight for the title. Crazy. Hey, guys, this is true. This is not trash talking. Hey, guys, Irish, only 6 million. Russian, 150 million. I want to fight for your chicken because this is #1 easy fight in lightweight division.
That's the thing. So, Conor does the thing where he throws a dolly through the window and all that. Okay, and that ended up being used very heavily as promotional footage, right? Which obviously is part of why Conor did it. But the thing is that happened because of things that Khabib did, right? Like Khabib took action to create that situation, right? He grabs Artem by the back of the neck. There's a camera there. Weird. Like I'm sure that when they came up on Artem, Khabib wasn't like, get the camera out. Like, of course, okay? And that's the thing about it. So he grabs Artem by the neck, he punks him on camera. They release it on social media. Okay, that's intentional. And that all happens after after he calls Conor out in the octagon in a way that's going to build interest for a fight. Ireland, 7 million. Russia, 150 million. That's a country versus country thing. That's calculated. And the reason why it's genius is because of how Khabib carries himself as this stoic, no-nonsense Russian guy who doesn't play those games, right? Like, so he carries it like he's not playing those games, which is why it works so well when he does. Because people literally, they're not even, everybody knows Conor's doing that, right? Like, everybody knows Conor's playing games. Everybody knows, like, when, when one guy calls out another guy, they know it's games. With Khabib, the way he carries it, it feels like it's not games, right? And he's doing that intentionally, right? Like, that's the thing is, so first of all, he talks his way into the Conor fight. Then think about think about the Tony fight, right? He figured out a way to get beef out of the Tony fight. Oh, when did you street fight? When did you street fight? He kicks his belt off the stage. Give me a break. You think Khabib was actually mad at that press conference? No, he knows how to sell a fight. Straight up, Khabib knows how to sell a fight. It's that simple. He really does, man. And that's the thing is now he doesn't need to, right? Like when he fights Justin Gaethje, obviously they're on the same team or, the same management and they're friends. But also at that point, Khabib's a superstar. He doesn't need to do that anymore, right? But he had an extremely strong fight game, man. He really, really did and does. And that's why I think that this retirement is fight game, okay? The more I thought about it, the more I'm coming back to this was fight game, okay? He saw the moves. He saw it, 4 steps ahead. It's like, okay, I just won. Conor and Dustin are going to fight. They're going to want me to fight the winner of that fight. How do I maximize my earnings for that fight, huh? How do I make the most money possible, and how do I hype that fight as much as possible? Say I'm retiring, right? Then Dana has to make me an exorbitant offer. And then when I fight Conor, or, assuming that it ends up being Conor, it's me coming back out of retirement for one more fight. It's a much better story, okay? That's why my hypothesis for this whole thing now is that all of this was calculated, that Khabib was not actually retiring at all at the beginning. Like it was calculated. And that's the whole thing. And the reason why I brought up the fight game thing is because he says, my mother asked me not to fight, so people assume, oh, he would never say that. Like he would never say a thing like that if he didn't mean it, because that's how he's built his persona, is like he means what he says, etc. But it's not like he's doing something dishonest. He's playing the game that he's in. Like that's what people don't understand. This is part of the job. Okay? You are a spectacle. Okay? You're fighting and you build interest. You want people to want to watch. All the greatest fighters of all time were exceptional at building interest. Khabib is just as exceptional, and the way he's done it, which is even more brilliant, is he's convinced people that's not what he's doing. And it is what he's doing. Okay? Like everybody knows Muhammad Ali is breaking balls, whatever, and then he ends up getting people actually mad at him. Conor, exact same thing. Conor and Muhammad Ali were exactly the same in how they built fights, right? Khabib is this whole other thing where people don't even realize it's what he's doing. And I'm telling you, if he ends up fighting Conor in a rematch, which he will, in my opinion, this whole thing will have been calculated, okay? It will have been calculated. And I'll tell you another reason that supports that, okay? So when Triple C wins the belt at 125. He wins the belt at 135. He defends the belt at 135, and then he retires. Okay, right? Now, why do you think he did that? Right? You think he did it because he had no intentions of fighting ever again? He's asked for 100 fights already. He wants Volkanovski, and I understand why. If he wants to be the first 3-belt champion, which he could win that fight. But when he says he's retired, right? He's like, I've got 125 locked up. I've got 135 locked up. There's no one else really there, so they're gonna have to pay me an enormous amount of money to get me to come back. Or when I do come back, it's going to increase my value exponentially, right? Does anybody actually believe that Triple C is not going to fight again? And you realize Triple C and Khabib have the same manager, okay? Like you think that these guys don't talk? Khabib and Triple C are super good friends. They like Dominance MMA. They have all these events together, like where these guys like travel around and they come to when there are fight things going on, they all hang out. What do you think they talk about? You think that like it's a coincidence that the champion at 155 did the exact same thing as the champion that was at 135 and 125 who's on the same team? Okay, so and again, this is assuming that Khabib comes back and fights again. But if this was his strategy, this is exactly how he would play it. Exactly how he would play it. He would make you wait till the very last minute because he's waiting to see what Conor does. He's not going to come back to fight Dustin again. That's not going to happen. He's not going to fight Dustin for his 30th fight. Okay. But if the belt is not on the line for this Dustin and Conor fight, bet your life that if Conor wins, that Khabib rematch is coming. And you can thank Khabib for that, for how he played this thing. I don't even think Dana's in on it. I think Khabib and probably like Khabib and Ali Abdelaziz, are the ones that know, and maybe guys on his team. But that's my hypothesis about that. And people do not give him enough credit for the strategy that he plays. So I know a lot of people are going to get mad. They're going to be like, no, Khabib wouldn't say that thing about his mom and yada, yada. Dude, I'm telling you, he is a chess playing strategist. He's a genius. It's a brilliant play, man. It's a brilliant play. Brilliant. Because, anyway, so we'll see. So here's the other thing I want to talk about. So Hamzat Chimaev, he came out and he said that, when Conor McGregor, obviously this is old news. He said when Conor McGregor talked about his country, talked about this, talked about that he flew to Ireland to try to find him and they turned him back around. I just think that's so funny that he thought he was going to be able to get into the country. Apparently, because he could have gotten into the country if he had a passport. I think he just flew there. Actually, how would he have gotten out without a passport? What am I talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, they turned him around, right? So, if that story is even true, because he has pretty strong fight game also. That's a great story to tell, regardless of whether or not it's true. But, he said that he would fight Conor on site still. They're both going to be at Fight Island. He's like, they better keep him away from me. We'll fight on site. Now, again, I don't know if he's actually that mad or not. I have a feeling that he's just playing real strong fight game because there is no downside in having a public beef with Conor McGregor. None, especially if you're a Muslim fighter, right? Because you have every reason to hate him. Right? Matter of fact, it would be weird if you were a Muslim fighter and you didn't want to fight Conor McGregor. He's insanely disrespectful to your way of life. He said a lot of shit that he can't take back, And so it would be bizarre if there wasn't a person who didn't have a problem with Conor. But Hamzat is fight gaming it, and he's making everybody know that he has a problem with him and that he needs to stay away from him, yada yada. Right? So bottom line is Hamzat Chimaev has no love lost with Conor McGregor. But they asked him about the Jake Paul thing, and Hamzat Chimaev was like, I'm on Conor's side on that. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, that Jake Paul talked about his family, super disrespectful. He threw toilet paper at his friend about Dylan Dennis. And that's when I actually burst out laughing, thinking about the culture differences. In America, if a guy runs by and throws toilet paper at a dude, it's a prank, man. There's nothing serious about that, right? He threw toilet paper at him. Everybody's laughing. Dip, dip, dip. They laugh. It's great. It's great PR. It's good, social media, whatever. But to Hamzat Chimaev, who comes from fucking Chechnya, right? Or Khabib, they're like, he threw toilet paper at him. There's no excuse for that. You got to go get him for that. I don't know. I think that's so funny, man. It's cultural differences. Apparently in Chechnya, they don't drive by and do toilet papering. And that came as a huge shock to me. Not. But anyway, so Hamzat Chimaev sticks to his principles. Okay. He hates Conor, but still don't talk about his family and don't ever throw toilet paper at his boy. Anyway, that's what I got. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Peace.